What's up, everyone, and welcome back. Today is February 20th of 2025. In today's video, we're going to talk about a news story from yesterday, February 19th. As yesterday morning in southern Arizona, two small fixed-wing aircraft collided near Marana Regional Airport. In this video, we're going to talk about the numerology of this incident, how it's connected to the state of Arizona, where the crash occurred, as well as the governor of Arizona, Katie Hobbs. On the same day as this collision in Arizona, Tony Khan and his company All Elite Wrestling visited Phoenix, Arizona to film an episode of Collision. So again, this crash occurred at a Tucson area airport, and it's kind of a bizarre news story. And the reason I say it's bizarre is because you have two airplanes who collided in midair. However, only one of them crashed. So I don't know what the odds of one plane surviving the crash are, but I would imagine they're pretty low. Also, despite the fact that these airplanes collided over this airport, neither of them was associated with the airport. So it seems like neither were taking off or landing from that. And the details are still coming in on this. Now, on my channel, I've been talking about plane crashes a lot recently. Of course, we had the Jeju air crash in South Korea on December 29th. A month later, we had a mid-air collision in Washington, D.C., very similar to the one that occurred yesterday in Arizona. 2 days after that, we had a plane crash in Philadelphia, and there's been a number of other incidents. I think 10 people were killed in an Alaskan Airlines crash, or a crash in Alaska. We had a Delta flight in Toronto roll over on landing after a hard impact. And I haven't talked about all of these, as, I think we kind of get it. And, I don't want to contribute to what the media is doing right now, which is scaring us about air travel. Fox News, of course, this is a left-wing news agency, pointing out that there were actually twice as many deadly plane crashes during Biden's first 4 weeks in 2021 than Trump's first 4 weeks this year. So are plane crashes really on the rise? Certainly the perception of this fact is yes, especially considering a large passenger jet went down in D.C., but that's really the only unusual thing that's happened. Now, with this mid-air collision, there's a number of details, like I said, that are a little bit strange. But what really brings this together is the numerology. And as always, we'll focus on the language of Gematria, beginning with the base 4 ciphers. And then we also expand this into Latin Gematria, which is my favorite and I think most important method, which is, of course, similar to the standard cipher of Gematria. So let's start with the mercurial riddle that has been ongoing. This past week, I made a couple of videos, including one with Cody, talking about how this year's Daytona 500 was heavily synced to the planet Mercury, just as all these plane crashes have been. It's a topic I've been discussing. If you want to look at any of these previous videos, check the links in the description below. Mercury has standard gematria of 1228. This crash yesterday involved a student pilot in one of the airplanes. Student pilot equals 1228. And this brings us to Arizona's governor, Katie Hobbs, who took office a little over 2 years ago in January of 2023. Her birthday is December 28th, or 1228. A date I've been talking about in relation to these plane crashes. Remember the face of the NFL, John Madden, who was afraid of airplanes, died on December 28th, this very date. One of the planes involved in the crash was a Cessna 172. In this same method of standard gematria, the last name Hobbs equals 172. And 172 was the number of mercurial years Kobe was on the very date that his helicopter crashed back in 2020. So a number we're accustomed to seeing in air disasters. Remember, President John Kennedy also dead on his mercurial birthday. John Kennedy with the 172 in reverse. And not to get too sidetracked, but this governor's name, Katie Hobbs, reminded me of actress Katie Holmes. And when you measure from Katie Holmes' birthday to Katie Hobbs, notice how these two women were born. I got to get the right birthday in here, I suppose. 12/28/69. They were born 107 months and 20 days apart. Just to finagle with this here, 1072, like the Cessna 172. And in the alphabetic order, Katie Holmes's full name equals 172. Katie Holmes, born 107 months and 2 days before Katie Hobbs. And again, Hobbs 172. In the reduction or Pythagorean form, Katie Holmes's full name is 64. Well, yesterday's crash happened to fall 64 days after her birthday. She's currently 46 years old. And Katie Holmes also equals 46. Her common name. So let's talk about this word, collision. Because this all connects to a company called All Elite Wrestling, who, like I mentioned at the top of the video, filmed an episode of AEW Collision in Phoenix, Arizona. February 19th, the same date as this crash. AEW broadcasted Dynamite live from Phoenix. And then they also filmed an episode of Collision. Now, on the poster for this coming week's AEW Collision, they're promoting the return of this wrestler named Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd is an English pro wrestler making his return to the company. And check out the numbers of Gabe Kidd, 43 and 173. These numbers are also found in the gematria of plane crash. 43 and 173. Furthermore, if you measure from Gabe's last birthday, April 24th, to the date of the crash, you get exactly 43 weeks. Again, matching plane crash and his name, Gabe Kidd. So let's look at the date of this incident, February 19th, which here in the US is written as 2/19. In the reverse alphabetic order, Marana, Arizona, the location of this incident, sums to 219. With capital letters, Marana, Arizona, abbreviated, also equals 219. This story is all connected to the governor of Arizona. And in the alphabetic order, governor of Arizona, 219. Now, if you've been watching my videos, really over the past couple of years, but particularly with these plane crashes once again, we've noticed a lot of connections to the skull and bones numerology. The secret society headquartered at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut, And notice how New Haven, Connecticut and New Haven, CT both equal 219, the date of the crash. Furthermore, the words collision and collide both have the same three digits, 291 and 129. All Elite Wrestling's Collision television program first premiered in June of 2023. That date was 1,135 weeks after the 4 airplanes collided into various buildings on September 11th, 2001. That date was also 1 year and 35 weeks before yesterday's collision. And in Gematria, the word collision equals 135. Arizona was admitted to the Union back in February of 1912. And notice how the Brown lunation number at the time was negative 135. In the reduction methods of Gematria, collision equals 45 and 54. When Katie Hobbs became the governor of Arizona, it was 40,500 days after the state's admission date, matching the reduction value of collision. And the crash was 54 days after her birthday, again matching collision in reverse reduction. The airport this incident occurred at sits on the 111th Western Meridian. The city of Marana, Arizona equals 60. The word collide equals both 111 and 60. Collide also equals 119 with capital letters. And of course, the digits 119 remind us of the 9/11 attacks, which I just measured to earlier. The crash yesterday was 119 days before the anniversary of AEW's Collision program. The owner of All Elite Wrestling, the rather eccentric Tony Khan, has a very interesting connection to 9/11 because he was 6,911 days old for the 9/11 attacks back in 2001. And of course, remember, the president at the time of the 9/11 attacks was George W. Bush, who was born in New Haven, Connecticut, and would later graduate as a member of the Skull and Bones Society. Well, New Haven sums to 1,019, the same three digits, 119. Governor Katie Hobbs was born 9 months and 11 days before Yale's anniversary. And this crash yesterday was exactly 1 year and 19 weeks after Yale turned 322 years old. Followers of this channel know that in the year 2023, the home of Order 322, or Skull and Crossbones 223, turned 322 years old. Another thing I thought about with this Gabe Kidd wrestler, there's another pro wrestler named Tyson Kidd. And Tyson Kidd was born on 7/11. And of course, September used to be the 7th month on the calendar. So this is kind of a 9/11 riddle here. But if you measure from 7/11 to the date of the crash, you get 223 days. So when Katie Hobbs became the governor of Arizona, it was on the date 1223. 23. This was 280 days before Yale's 322nd anniversary. Conveniently, this matches Governor Katie Hobbs in Gematria. Hobbs also with the 28. Measuring from Yale's special anniversary to the premiere of AEW Collision in 2023 was 3 months and 22 days. Katie Hobbs took office 322 days after Arizona's anniversary in the year 2023. And measuring from the September 11th attacks to yesterday's collision was 1,223 weeks. 1, 2, 2, 3, just like the date that Katie Hobbs became the governor. So when Katie Hobbs took office, it was a span of exactly 1,112 weeks after 9/11. Yesterday's collision was 111 weeks and 2 days after she became the governor. So 1112. Well, if you go even further with the coordinates for Marana Regional Airport, you notice it's 111.2 degrees west. 1112. Marana Regional Airport sums to 109 in reduction, and the collision there happened 10 months and 9 days before Katie's birthday. In reduction, Katie equals 19, Hobbs equals 19, and she was even born on a date with 109 numerology. AEW Collision will feature this wrestler, Gabe Kidd. And notice how Gabe Kidd's full name equals both 109 and 190. Well, Yale University celebrates its anniversary on October 9th, the date written 10/9. So once again, the Skull and Bones code here is quite undeniable. And again, for more on this, just check out my video on the crash in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, a city with gematria of 223. So on the thumbnail for this video, I made sure to write Skull and Bones Airlines on the plane. Because, we really know the code that's operating throughout all of this. So to wrap this up, I just want to talk a little bit more about the numerology of this television show, AEW Collision, which premiered in 2023 on a date with identical numerology to yesterday's airplane collision. In fact, that debut was a span of 20 months and 3 days before the crash, which matches the ordinal value of All Elite Wrestling, 203 in ordinal. When it comes to the September 11th attacks, no card invokes images of that date, quite like the 16th card of the Tarot's major arcana, the Tower, where people are literally jumping out of a burning building. Scenes we unfortunately witnessed on that date. In Latin gematria, the Tower equals 1248. This crash was 1 year, 248 days after the premiere of AEW Collision. It was also 2 years and 48 days after Katie Hobbs took office. The Tower also has matching 166 gematria with Twin Towers and Secret Society. The first episode of AEW Collision aired 166 days after Katie Hobbs was sworn in. That premiere was the 168th day of the year. The Tower equals 1068. Katie Hobbs' full name, Kathleen Marie Hobbs, equals 168, and Governor Katie Hobbs equals 1680. And shame on me because I completely forgot about this until right now. But there's a wrestler in AEW named Powerhouse Hobbs, whose last name matches the name of the governor, Katie Hobbs. This guy's real name, Hobson. So it's clear to see where he gets this nickname. So, of course, now I'm wondering, is this guy numerically connected? And I figure he's got to be, right? So he was born in 91, January 23rd. Well, exactly 1,778 weeks. I feel like I saw this number in this decode. Maybe check his Gematria, see if anything pops out. I'm kind of surprised nothing's quite jumping out here. Powerhouse Hobbs equals 214, which is Arizona's date of admission, February 14th, but nothing else too big right now. So in lieu of that, I just wanted to point out how the state of Arizona just turned 113 years old on Valentine's Day. This connects to AEW's premiere date, June 17th or 6/17, which is the 113th prime number. And shout out to subscriber 113 who just joined the chat conveniently. Revelation also has this 113 gematria, but it also equals 1010 in Latin. And this is, of course, the birthday of founder Tony Khan, 1010, October 10th. Tony Khan has some interesting 666 connections to Katie Hobbs. Actually, 4,669 days between their birthdays. AEW Collision premiered 40,666 days after Arizona became a state. But from Tony Khan back to Katie Hobbs. Also notice how this is exactly 667 weeks. So no, it's not 666, but it's pretty damn close. You got to figure this guy, Powerhouse Hobbs, did he wrestle on AEW Dynamite last night? Well, this is weird. Look at this. I didn't even type Powerhouse Hobbs' name out. I just typed into Google AEW Dynamite results February 19th, Phoenix. And look what the top result is. It says Hobbs won by sending the Redwood through a barbed wire table off the ramp. Hobbs, that's the first wrestler they mention? And again, I did not type his name in. This is just what they give me. So does this mean he was in the main event? No, this was early in the show. Street fight. Big Bill versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Huh. Big Bill was his opponent. This guy, Morrissey. 8/16 of 86. Huh, so nothing's really popping there either. And maybe I'm missing something. I'm doing this live on the air, but a street fight? Street fight equals 56. Like plane crash, also 56. And then they filmed AEW Collision, which equals 56. So I don't know. The numbers aren't as strong as I would have hoped, but I mean, here you see it, right? There's an AEW wrestler named Hobbs. They were in Arizona, whose governor is named Hobbs, filming Collision on the same day as a Collision. I think the synchronicity speaks for itself here. Before I wrap this video up, I just wanted to look at one more connection with Katie Hobbs. We looked at the numbers connecting her earlier, but consider how she used to be married to Tom Cruise. And when you think about Tom Cruise and airplanes, well, remember Top Gun Maverick came out just a couple years ago, where Tom Cruise is flying an airplane. From that movie release date to the date of yesterday's Collision was 999 days. So you get this upside down 666, but you also get the 322 and the 223. 32 months and 23 days. Tom Cruise was born on July 3rd, which means yesterday's crash was also exactly 33 weeks after his birthday. So again, there's always more. I never catch them all on this. I never really played Pokemon anyway, so I don't have those skills when it comes to numerology, but just wanted to lay out some of this synchronicity with the Skull and Bones code and the governor of Arizona, as it's always fascinating stuff. So with that, I'll be signing off. Peace, love, God bless, and we'll talk to you all next time. See ya.